Okay. So as a preliminary matter, this is Dan Croston, Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Elizabeth Hayes.
Here.
Dan Kusher.
Here.
Bruce Spinney.
Here.
Ed Prisby.
Here.
Eric Swenson.
Here.
Kurt Williams. Staff, when I call your name, respond in the affirmative. Chris McGoldrick.
Here.
Okay, and we had two panelists scheduled for this evening. Mark O'Hagan from MCO. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Also, Ray Mead.
Here.
Great. Good evening. This opening meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website at www.graftonmass.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Affordable Housing Trust is convening via Zoom, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. For Zoom meetings, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided, members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the chair, notes otherwise. Meeting business ground rules. So we are now entering the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, or maybe to cover some ground rules for the effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, question, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Before I get to that, Kurt is not here, and he's basically been acting as our clerk. Elizabeth, can you do me a huge favor? I'm going to be taking notes, but can you take minutes along with me?
I was actually going to suggest to nominate Dan Kusher as the clerk.
Okay, well, Dan, if you would like to take minutes, we haven't formally gotten to the reorganization part of our meeting, but if you're comfortable doing that, that's fine with me.
Sure.
All right. The first item on our agenda, unfortunately, I'm going to have to table is the meeting from the July 22nd Affordable Housing Trust meeting. I was out of town last week and was trying to schedule this, and I've become aware that the emails that I was sending, I was out in the middle of New York, and I was forwarding things from my iPhone, weren't making it. So I really didn't kind of alert Kurt to get these together for us for the meeting. So I will follow up with him because he has notes, I have notes, and we'll have that available for our next meeting. So that's for now, we're gonna have to table the approval of the July 22nd meeting minutes as they weren't made available in advance of our meeting. With that, I'm going to turn give the floor to Mark O'Hagan from MCO Housing to give us an update on the rental assistance program.
Hi, everybody. We are in the outreach phase. We've got ads that were placed in the Grafton News and ads and information that were placed in the Grafton Common. We've got a list of organizations that we sent the flyer out to. I know Dan was going to be distributing it to be posted on the town website and et cetera. We've got the information on our website as well. So we are getting some calls. We actually got the first application yesterday and expecting the first pre-applications, I should say, yesterday, and hopeful a couple of other people are putting it together to come through. I'm also working with Grafton News, their ad rep. She's trying to make arrangements to have one of the correspondents, one of the local writers, to give me a call so we can get an article placed in the Grafton News that, and whatever coverage we can get in the TNG as well, to try to get some additional exposure. I think in talking with with Dan, I know the information didn't go up on I'm not sure if it's up yet. It wasn't up as of yesterday on the town website. I think the biggest question is, I had kind of said about 2.5, 3 weeks to get some preliminary applications. We may want to kick it out a week, but I think that would be the biggest question. Just to have a little more time for people to do the pre-application. I think that was probably the biggest thing that I would suggest at this point, to get a little more time. And it takes a while from once it's out there for it to kind of, filter through and people start talking about it with people they know. So, there's always a little bit of a lag. And I think the local website will be a big benefit for people to see it as compared to just the ads and what's online. So I think that would be my my main recommendation at this point is that if we give it a little bit more time, let those ads circulate and flyers and anything that can be done on the local websites, to try to get some more feedback. But overall, otherwise things are placed. I hope people have you guys have checked out our website and some of the papers and seen the stuff. If there's any comments or recommendations, I'm certainly up for them. But the extension would be my biggest recommendation at this point.
Before I go down the line with everyone, Mark, I believe and I'm looking at some of the documents here, and the flyer doesn't appear to have doesn't have a date that says you can only, we're only go up to at this date. So I think it's okay now. It doesn't have a termination date for when we could accept applications on it. So it's just us saying that we're willing to go out another week, which I think would be wholly appropriate, to kind of.
On the flyer, it may not have it. I thought we had it on the flyer. I don't have one in front of me, do I? Few materials. I think we had, we included the September 4th date on the bottom of it, so people knew. So I actually made the change today, but I wanted to touch base with you guys. I was going to kick it out to the 11th or maybe the 12th, just because the September 11th has a bad connotation. So we do have it on the flyer, and on the application package, the pre-application package, we spell out what the dates are. So I would make a change and just add a note onto our website that it's been extended out another week to give people additional time. So I think we're fine in terms of being covered and protected. They go to the website, they're going to see it's a difference. It's just a pre-application for ranking, and I certainly think there's going to be more than enough funds for everybody. Just for a point of reference, I told you, the Arlington program that we've been doing has been, we kind of gone the furthest with it. They did an initial pre-application. We had 50 people. We ended up being able to provide funds to about 37. We're still a couple of them we're dealing with. And the amount of funds distributed was like 152,000. So with the amount of resources and the size of the community as compared to the size of Arlington and the rents there, I think we're certainly going to have more than enough resources to accommodate everybody. So, even if we go by the deadline for the pre-application, it can be on a first come, first served basis for people that are interested to apply. But, we can, have that discussion, once we get through, we do the pre-application and we deal with people, because I certainly think there's going to be more than enough resources to accommodate, virtually everybody in town that, that I think will reach out. And, there is some expectation, and Arlington would do in a second phase because they're getting some feedback that with the unemployment being cut back substantially, that they're getting some more calls in their office for help. So hopefully we'll see more interest from that side as well.
Okay. Hey, Mark, with the if you update the date on the flyer and forward that out to me, that'd be great. Chris, is there somebody that I should be working with in the town just to make sure it's linked in on the town's website, it's on the social media pieces and all that sort of thing?
I'll forward it to, once you send it to me, I can forward it to Natalia or myself. I can put it on the Facebook and the town website on the planning page, so.
Great.
And
All
what
right.
I'll do, what I would suggest, I don't mean to interrupt, but
Sure.
the September 11th would be a Friday. Maybe we just kick it to the 14th, and that'll give them the week. We can still do the lottery a week later. I think I was going to do it on the 9th. So we'll do the 14th and the 16th, where it's just a ranking for people. So that way they'll have the extra weekend. I'll run the ad an extra week in the news as well, and hopefully that will dovetail with the article. And so we'll do the 14th for the deadline and the 16th for the actual lottery, and then we'll see how we're doing for people at that point.
Great. Thanks, Mark. I'm just going to go down the line now and just ask any of the members that they have. Open it up to them for any questions or comment they may have. I'm going to start with Elizabeth. Do you have any questions or comments for Mark?
I don't think so, not at the moment.
Okay. Dan?
So I don't know if this is for Mark or for you, but do we need to, make a motion or to do the deadline extension? I don't know if that was specified in the contract or something, but
Great question.
I'm happy to do, the least formal as necessary. So.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's not part of it's not chiseled into the contract. It's not written into the contract.
All right.
So I would say no.
I'm good then. Thanks.
Great. Bruce?
Have you sent anything over to the school department to use some of their outlets to broadcast their Facebook, the PTG, or just Jay's office in general?
Yeah, they're on our listing for the flyer that was being mailed to them. I think if you guys can communicate with them on electronic, electronically sending them the flyer so they can distribute it via Facebook, that would probably be more efficient these days with people in and out of the office. But I think if that came internally, would probably be better received from us. But what I'll do when we finish the meeting, and like I said, I had already adjusted the memo, adjusted the flyer to the 11th. I'll adjust that to the 14th, and I'll send it over just as sounds like you have more things on the meeting, so you'll have that tonight. I think it's a PDF, so sometimes this phone system is good. I will intend to get it to you in the next 20 minutes. If it isn't, then it'll be first thing in the morning if for some reason I can't modify the PDF on this system. But if you guys can get that to the school department, and they'll be getting a paper flyer that they can use, that we encourage them to post as well. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, Mark, and I'd also ask you if you have anyone else on your outreach list that you don't have an electronic means of contact, let us know who they are. I'm sure everybody on this call can absolutely find
Sure.
an email address for contact.
Yeah, and I'll send over a copy of the list that we use. It was created when we did the last for sale lottery in town, so it's reasonably up to date. So I'll send over a copy of that as well, so you have it. And if there's people on there that you can reach out to directly, that'll be helpful.
Great.
And just to build on that, I'll also forward it to the library. They've been, for our open space and recreation plan survey, they've been advertising it with paper flyers when you pick up your books. So I'll ask them to add that as well.
Okay.
Okay,
And
Ed, you,
stuff will be updated on the website tomorrow. My website, yeah.
okay, Ed, you're up.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest also local religious institutions. I know St. Mary's has its finger, I think, pretty good on the pulse about families in need. So and maybe that might be something that'd be more effective actually coming from our committee than from MCO. But certainly, I think we should reach out to them and direct it their way. I think the week obviously is a good idea, especially if you're going to talk to somebody from the news who's going to do something. They need to write it, post it. The paper comes out probably a week from this Thursday. And then you'll want some time for that to marinate as well. But yeah, I think, I know, Dan, we're members of St. Mary's. I can't think of any place else, but that would be a pretty good
No,
idea.
you're absolutely right, Ed, and I'm actually on the parish council, so yeah,
There you
that
go.
was, I wanted to get this in front of Father Leo, so yeah, he's very in tune, so yeah, that's absolutely a tremendous idea. We don't want to miss anybody, so we
St.
can take a
St.
look at
Mary's,
it.
yeah, St. Mary's is on the list. St. Mary's Parish at Waterville Street. So
Yes, excellent.
they are on
Thank
the
you.
list. Yeah. So they'll be getting
my other question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Challenges of Zoom meetings. My other question was, if we go through this process and we decide there are enough funds to take care of the applicants that we do have, would we consider opening it up to mortgage applicants, homeowners who are having trouble during COVID making mortgage payments? I got that question from a member of the public. And if we did do that, how would we go about doing that?
We're working with Canton that's doing it for renters, and they're including affordable homeowners. So deed restricted homeowners is what they limited it to.
Okay.
It really would be, I think, at the discretion of for you guys. Again, it would be, what they're doing is 70% of the principal and interest. That's just what they settled in on as being a value. But I think if there are resources that's within your purview, I think you just want to be careful with the parameters. I think part of the reason that they focused on the affordables is because, there's the expectation, there's, not a bunch of equity and all that stuff. If someone has a $500,000 house and a $200,000 mortgage and they're coming for relief, is that the person you want to help? So I think there are, some ways that it could be tricky isn't even the right word, just kind of the optics of it could get muddled depending on who's using the resources. So I think that's a consideration for the board that you'd want to consider. You want to keep it simple. You don't want to be, well, if your house, you don't want to get into that conversation with people about equity values and all that kind of stuff. But you could just keep it at a limited value for support. So I think there's different ways you can do it. That's just a couple of considerations I think that you may want to be mindful of. But it's certainly parameters that we can work out the details and have it available for people if that's what you choose.
Chris has a question, Mark.
Yeah, just a little bit building on that. Just administratively, thinking of the funding sources that we're currently using. I'm not sure exactly the wording and parameters of the CARES Act funding. I know it is for the emergency rental assistance. I'm not sure if that would still apply if we expanded it to mortgage. I know we're seeking the CPC funds and that wouldn't apply, but so there's just some kind of kinks that we'd have to be aware of. I would note that obviously this is very preliminary, but the housing production plan indicates for next year to explore a similar program, not related to COVID, but actual just affordable housing, mortgage and rental assistance programs, and exploring those options. So obviously there's been no progress in that, but I'm thinking that this could be somewhat of a pilot, that if we're looking to expand that to meet that objective of the housing production plan, we can use this as a pilot at least procedurally and go from there. So
yeah, and if even if it was an initial focus dealing with the deed restricted homes in town, then at least it's a finite number of people really. So, and they're easy to reach. We know who they are. So that could be a means to start it and then it again based on the resources. One of the other things that, and just in the nature of the program, I'm not sure if all your funds came from CARES or came from CPA. Sometimes in another community, their request of the fundings was specific in terms of timing and the usage of it that was based on rental. So, I don't know if it was CPA and you had to do a specific request or grant, you might want to look in the wording of that too, if that needs to be modified or updated to be able to incorporate mortgage support, just as an FYI.
Great. Eric Swenson.
No, I think everybody kind of asked my questions already, so I'm good.
Okay, great. Is there anything anybody else, is there anything that's come up with anyone else before we let Mark go?
I think Elizabeth had a question.
I just wanted to say, to piggyback on Ed's point, I was also thinking we should reach out to worship leaders in the community, and I could possibly talk to Zach Kersey of Simple Church. I know he talks to many of the other clergy in the community, and he might have a better pulse on who needs help, and we can get the word out to the other houses of worship.
Terrific. They will be getting a flyer as well, but I agree. I think direct communication is always better.
Perfect. Okay, so next step, Mark's going to send us the revised flyer. I'm going to get that to Chris. We're going to get that on the town's website and everywhere we can. Mark's going to take a look at anybody he doesn't have a electronic means of contact with.
I'll send you over a copy of the list that we had developed, and it is even some of them we have websites, but it wasn't suitable for for email. So it was a paper distribution. But I will send that along with a copy of the updated flyer with the revised date, and I will modify that on my website tomorrow, and I'll just put an asterisk that it was extended so it's clear. So that'll be that should be up by 9:30 or 10 tomorrow.
Wonderful. Great. Mark, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, everybody. Take care. Have a good night.
Okay, next up on our agenda, Ray Mead is going to discuss a proposal he has for building some affordable housing units in Perry Hill. Ray, I'm going to hand the floor to you.
Okay, well, it's this is a kind of a twofold situation. Most people know that Engine Company 2 Association, built the Roney Park at the corner of Bridge Street in North Main, and raised quite a bit of money, about $50,000 to do the work, and also to with CPC funds and to maintain the park. We want to move on to our second project, and our second project would be Whitney Park, which is across from Station 2 in the Perry Hill area. So as I was looking at this, there are some there's some park equipment at Perry Hill. Now Perry Hill School burnt down in I don't know 1974 or something like that. And in 1976, a program was put together to create a park on that site. And one was to an upper area where kids could play and some swings could be put in. And then a lower area, which was paved, and it was done with curb so that it could be flooded and people could skate on it in the winter. The skating never happened. And the town put in some park equipment up there. So as we were talking about redoing Whitney Park, I thought about, well, why don't we just take Perry Hill Park and put affordable housing up there, affordable apartments? The area is strictly apartments up there. There are some single family homes, but not a whole lot. There's more apartments than there are anything, the old mill houses and everything. And then the apartments across the street on Perry Hill. So that's what we were thinking, is that we could build affordable apartments on Perry Hill and create a scaled down super park at Whitney Park. So, and I've said park quite a bit, so I want to stop doing that. but that's our thought. And so I wanted to get in touch with you guys because, one, if you're interested in what the process is and everything that goes along with it, Whitney Park is something that we'd like to design over the winter, and then go to the May town meeting for CPC funds to do the work, and then also get back into our fundraising to do that, to make it a really a pretty nice area for people to visit and for kids to play. So that's the proposal.
So, Ray, and forgive me, I probably should know this. I've been here my whole life. Is the Perry Hill Park, that it's town-owned land right now?
Yes, it's town-owned land, yes. Yep.
Okay. So the conversation would be that land would in some way, shape, or form be transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust for the development of affordable housing units.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any idea what the land size is?
It's a little over an acre.
Okay.
It's not, I'd say a little over an acre. It's probably about 65,000 square feet. Would probably support, depending on whether you're going to put in, a 2-story apartments or a single-story apartments, would probably support 8 to 10 apartments. And the land really has that one piece of park equipment there, and that's it. There's nothing else there. So 3/4 of the space, the land doesn't get used at all. It has never been used really.
Well, I've been on this committee for a while, and people don't often come to us and say, "How can we give you land?" So I'm happy to have you here tonight and have this conversation started at least. But again, I'm going to open this up to the other panelists, see if they have any, and it's obviously really preliminary. Elizabeth, do you have any questions?
I think it sounds like an excellent idea.
Okay. Dan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any downside to it.
Right.
So I guess being, relatively new to the committee, is the standard procedure that we would then go out and try to find a developer who's interested in doing that project on that land, and then I guess what happens after we do that? Yeah,
you're right. And I'll let some of the other folks speak to that. But yeah, generally it'd be an RFP or some kind of partnership. I don't know if this would be too big of a for Habitat for Humanity, but there's other organizations that could help. I mean, because what happens here is it becomes an affordable housing unit, and it's a rental unit, and there's a sort of a management piece to that. So, but yeah, that you're on the right track. That's what we would do. We would find a builder to do it for us. Bruce, any initial thoughts? Oh, you're muted, Bruce.
Yeah, I got you. Ray, just getting my bearings. Whitney Park are you talking about like the paved area right between High Street and School Street?
Yeah. It's there's an upper area, then a lower area that's paved. Yeah,
Okay.
That's Perry Hill Park, or Perry Hill School, whatever it used to be.
What is the park that's, or like just the green space that's right across the street from Station 2?
That's Whitney Park. That's the park that we want to build a scaled down super park in.
Okay.
Because that park is actually really, really pretty big, and it does not get used at all. And there's nothing there for really anybody to do. There's no benches, there's no play equipment, there's no water features, there's nothing. So
Would it be helpful if I pulled the property up on the screen share here?
Yeah, both parcels.
Okay, so yeah, so in blue, that's Perry Hill Park. So you can see the area that has the upper area, and that has the play equipment. And then the lower area is a hill that goes down to a paved area. It's actually pretty good size. I said it was 65,000 square feet. It might be a little bit bigger than that, but and then Whitney Park is just down below that.
Sorry, is that this portion here?
Yes, yep. Yep, that's Whitney Park.
Okay, I was just confusing the two. So you would propose taking the play features that are on Perry Park and moving them over to Whitney as well?
I would incorporate those into the design of the new park. Because they're I think they're about 5 years old, but they're not that old. And we would incorporate those into the design of the park.
Okay, so the existing park would move over to Whitney, and then we'd have that whole parcel to develop.
Yep.
Anything that, for everybody who's been around a long time in that area, is there anything that might be hidden under there that, past use or something that effective would cause a problem?
Well, there was a school. So in the area of where you see the light shaded area, that was the school building. It was a 2-story building, wood frame, had a coal furnace in the basement. I say this from experience because I went there. There's down at the lower end of that was the playground. So it's always been a playground. There were no oil tanks, but there was a coal furnace in the basement. That's the only thing. That was all excavated out and filled in the 70s. But you'd have to do a phase 1 on it. So.
Okay. You go a little bit further down 2nd Street. Do you know the density of those apartment complexes there?
Those are 4-unit apartments right there. They were originally owned and may still be owned by the mill. They were mill houses. Those are 4 units in each one of those. And then across the street from Perry Hill, those are 3 buildings with 6 units in each.
Sorry, you said there was 4 buildings with 6 units each?
No, there's 4 to the left. There's four buildings, and they have 4 units in each one. And then above to the I would say to the north of Perry Hill Park, there's 3 buildings with 6 units in each of those.
Thanks.
Then there are apartments next to Station 2. Again, there's 4 units in 2 buildings there. Yep, there they are right there. So it's a really good spot for apartments, or as Dan said, Habitat for Humanity. You could put 2 houses in there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Ray, in looking at it, and being from the area and seeing, there is a reasonable concentration of farm buildings. It fits the neighborhood. You could probably easily get 8 units in there.
Yeah,
I don't think that would be difficult at all, and with parking and not be a problem for the neighborhood. It's what's there.
Yeah. Yep.
Bruce, do you have any further questions for Ray?
Sorry, I was just going through the screen share. I'm all set for right now.
Okay. Ed Prisby, do you have any questions for Ray?
I don't. I like the idea. Like you said, Dan, it's rare that someone comes to us with a proposal, particularly someone as experienced and respected in town as Ray, to get land from the town to do this. I think it's something we should kick the tires on. I think initially it's a good idea. I think one of the challenges is going to be with dealing with a lot size of about an acre. We may run into developers who would love to partner with us, but we'll do that dance with, okay, how much trust funds are you giving us for how many units are we getting back, right? I suspect it to be a lot more than 2 or 8. My rough guess is we might find it to be difficult to get a developer to do something for less than 20. So the natural reaction you're going to get from the neighborhood is traffic, but we're always going to get that reaction. No matter where we go, what we do, it's always going to be that. I think pairing it with the super park is an excellent idea. So yeah, let's, no sense not kicking the tires here. I would imagine the next step would be a written proposal, and then having another meeting where we talk about the scope of this joint endeavor, and then getting the land from the town. If we could shoot for October, then that gives us the winter to try and find a developer to work with. And maybe, we do that in conjunction with finding a developer to work with for 25 Worcester as well.
Could you, would you be able to package those up, Ed?
Could be. I mean, I'd love to say yes, Ray, but we've never done this before. So we're learning too on this one, but I would love to say that the answer to that question would be yes.
You might be able to find a developer that would work with you on both, but each of them is going to be a separate RFP. So
yeah.
Before Elizabeth, I think you had a question. Before I got to that, I was going to just make sure Eric had a chance. Eric, did you have any questions for Ray?
No questions. Thanks for bringing this to the trust, Ray.
Elizabeth, did you have a question for Ray? Oh, you did? Oh, I thought you did. Anybody else? Did I miss anyone? So yeah, I think you're right. Ray, what's your timeline like and what do you need from us?
Well, the plan is that over the winter, we'll do the preliminary design.
Yep.
I say over the winter, beginning of the winter, we'll do a preliminary design, bring it to CPC for the May town meeting. And if that passes and it works, then we would start construction sometime, I'd say May, June, if we can get things going that fast, which is sometimes the bridge at North Main Street and Bridge Street took total from the day that we started the project 3 years. So it takes a lot of time. I try to be as aggressive as I can, but I'd like to get the design done over the winter.
Bruce, go ahead.
And so just before you go too far down the road, Ray, if there's somebody that can take a look at the title and the deed, and we used to have Mary Campbell that would, could search around for us. But we don't want to run into the same issue that we had over in Hudson. So if you take a look to make sure there's nothing that's going to prohibit some type of housing being there, or some old warrant article, going back to the 70s, that's pencil written that says you're not allowed to do something like that here.
Bruce, I go back to the 70s and I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, but I mean, well, I guess Hudson was the 60s, so back a little bit further.
Yeah.
But that would be the first thing I'd look at, is just make sure the title is clean and the deed is not restricted in any way.
Yeah, I can look into that, no problem.
Great. Okay, so more to come on that, Ray. Just keep us in the loop as you move forward.
Yep.
And we thank you again for bringing this to us. It's it's a great opportunity, and as Ed said, and it's been a battle. Bruce just mentioned a situation we went down the road and then found out things were not going to be that easy. So yeah, we really do appreciate it when folks come to us and say, hey, we'd like to develop affordable housing, and we're hearing that more and more. So thank you for reaching out and joining us tonight.
Great, you're welcome, and I will keep in touch.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have one final discussion item, reorganization of the Affordable Housing Trust. So, and Ed, I want to thank you for putting a buzz in my ear about this. I think I talked about it when you all came back on, when you folks, we had a whole team. So it's appropriate now. It's a really good idea. We should be doing this. I've been the chair now for almost 3 years, which is really not appropriate. That's not really what we want to do. It's not healthy. It's not, fair. And we want to be able to give new people opportunities to do things. It's really not the way we were structured, but it kind of fell into that because we had some folks come on and off the trust and not want to ascend and then leave. And, we had myself and Elizabeth and Kurt, who were both fairly new to the trust. So it didn't make sense. And so now we have a great team, and I'm happy to start this process. So I'm just going to open it up. We haven't really done this in years. So I don't know if some of the folks who are new or need to have we need to have a discussion of what the roles are. So everyone kind of knows what they'd be, if they were interested in one or they were nominated for something, what they're getting into. I think it's fairly straightforward, but I try to dig into a handbook we had, which I cannot find electronically. I don't know where it is. This was handed to me in 2014 in a giant binder, but it's all pretty straightforward. I'll just tell you what the roles are and kind of give you an idea of the description of it, so we know what we're talking about here. The chair shall preside at all meetings of the trust, except as otherwise authorized by resolution of the trust, and the chair shall sign all contracts, deeds, and other instruments made by the trust at each meeting. The chair shall submit such recommendations and information as he or she may consider proper concerning the business affairs and policies of the trust. Now, and we also sort of work with staff and make sure the agenda is put together and pull the meeting materials together and make sure that the staff has that. Vice chair couldn't be more straightforward. Vice chair shall perform the duties of the chair in the absence or incapacity of the chair, and in case of vacancy, in the office of chair. And I think it goes without saying that it's sort of understood the vice chair is going to it will ascend to the chair level. That didn't happen for me, but that's sort of the role you're taking on. You're anticipating that you're going to take the chairmanship role. Treasurer shall authorize the town treasurer to receive and disperse such monies under the direction of the trust, except as otherwise authorized by resolution of the trust. Trust may from time to time qualify, change, or cancel any such designation. Any member elected to the office of treasurer shall serve without compensation other than payment of necessary expenses. I did that when I first came on. I think it's pretty straightforward for us. What really happens here in reality is, and Bruce, you can back me up on this a little bit, if we work with the town accountant and make sure we see what the balances are in our accounts and report them back to the trust. And generally speaking, when we're not spending money and we have CPA money sitting there or other funds, we're talking about the interest that's accrued, or we're just confirming that payments that we've authorized have happened. It's not as heavy as you think. And then they don't have a definition for clerk, but I think that's obviously pretty straightforward. We take minutes. That's what the clerk would do. So those are really the four positions we should be looking at. And I'm going to open it up. We haven't really had to do this before, but I'm going to open it up. Elizabeth, do you have any comments, suggestions, or recommendations?
I was going to move to nominate Dan Kusher for clerk.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? I'll do this as a roll call. Hayes?
Aye.
Kusher?
Aye.
Spinney?
Okay.
Ed Frisbee?
Aye.
Eric Swenson, I'm sorry.
Aye.
And I'm an affirmative as well. The motion passes. Thanks, Dan. So we've got clerk all set. Does anyone wish to make a motion about the other positions?
Chair.
Was that Ed?
Yep.
Ed,
I'd like to move that I'd like to nominate Bruce Spinney as chair of the Affordable Housing Trust.
do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just really quickly, Dan, assuming the vote is positive, I do want to thank you for the 3 years that you've done this. And, you know, a moment ago when you said it was unfair, I think it was unfair to you, to be perfectly honest with you. Like every time I saw you and like the years started to go on, I was like, wow, Dan Crossan is still the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. So just thank you so much. I mean, really for carrying the torch over a lot of turnover over the years for something that's difficult.
Yeah, and I appreciate your remarks. It's like, and that is true. And it's like, I didn't feel like this was a burden. It was an honor. But I don't want that to happen to others. So not everyone feels that way. And I've seen folks sort of, you know, get stuck. And, you know, we had an interesting situation this year. And, you know, and again, I've thanked all of you for coming on. I've been really happy, especially Dan Kusher for coming back after the initial attempt. I was really happy and relieved that occurred. So no, Ed, I thank you for those kind words. I truly appreciate it. So we have a motion. We have a second, I believe. Somebody go down the list. Hayes,
Haynes, aye.
Kusher,
Kusher, aye.
Spinney,
Spinny eye.
Prisby,
Frisbee, aye.
Swenson,
Swenson, aye.
and Crossan, aye. Thank you, Bruce. We still have vice chair and treasurer.
Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
Do we have one?
Not yet.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I nominate Elizabeth Haynes as vice chair.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, you and I have been on this before, Bruce. There are a lot of, you know, Eric and Dan are new. I do like to, you know, see people who have been doing something for a while sort of rise up the rank and, you know, start to fill in the base of experience and responsibility for this. I think Elizabeth would be good.
Yeah, I would further say too, one of the things I was really happy about was, you know, we've all been on this, you know, a number of us have been on this committee off and on. And in what I was really kind of energized about with having Elizabeth and Kurt come on was, you know, these are some of the folks that really are who we're speaking to in many respects when we talk about affordable housing. It's, you know, the workforce, the younger folks who come out of college and who are trying to get started in life, you know, want to get an apartment they can reasonably afford or a home. And so it's important to have that perspective on the committee. And I was really excited and happy when we, you know, had a little bit of a youth movement. So that's, I think it's a great opportunity. And I think it's a great person to have in that role.
You have any further discussion? I just want to add one thing. I think I was the treasurer when I was on the trust. I'm not sure if you actually had another treasurer after I get off.
Nope.
I think as far as a dual role is concerned, if the vice chair would take over the responsibilities of the treasurer's position as well. I don't know if that's something that you're willing to do, Elizabeth, but we'll go through this vote, and I think it's a good spot to put it in because as we're going through the next few months, I think the treasurer's position is going to be pretty important. And I'm not sure that the chair should be doing a treasurer's role as well, but there might be a fair amount of work left to do.
You know, I think what I would add to that is that when you're, you know, in my past life, I served as a treasurer on the Blackstone Chamber of Commerce, and I was thrown into it, and it was an incredible learning experience, and it helped me completely understand the inner workings of that organization, which helped me advance to a chair role there. You kind of know that what the dollars and cents are, and money plays in so much to what we need to do and what we're going to do in the future. And when you understand that, you pay attention to some of the conversations you're having and things that are happening and how you get stuff done. So, you know, I think the treasurer spot is really important. You know, unless somebody else wants to handle that, then I don't think that's a bad training opportunity.
All right. Well, let me there's no further discussion, by roll call, Mr. Crossan,
Aye.
Mr. Swenson,
Aye.
Mr. Prisby,
Frisbee, aye.
Mr. Kusher,
Aye.
and Mrs. Haynes.
Aye.
And myself, I was also affirmative, the vote carries. And treasurer, I nominate Elizabeth Haynes.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, seeing that we already kind of moved this through? I will ask if you want to accept the nomination. I'm going to take your silence as a yes. All right, any other discussion?
I feel that I think Dan's been pretty available for me. So if I can, yeah, just like consult him every once in a while if I need some support, I think that'd be fine.
Sure.
I think there's a great team here. You know, it's like Bruce and Ed have been around the block in town for many years and know quite a bit. It's invaluable resources like that to have on a committee like this. In fact, there was a time when I started on this and we didn't have a select board rep, and it's really important to have. And we've got some good people. Eric and Dan being on FinCom, you got some tremendous resources. And it's not to say that the treasurer role in a year stays with the vice chair. We could open that opportunity to others as well. But I do think, and I think Bruce, that was a shrewd idea to give the vice chair that dual role as sort of as a training perspective to help you really grasp some of the added things you need to know in that role, the chair role.
All right. Is there any further discussion? By roll call, Mr. Crossan,
Aye.
Mr. Swenson,
Swenson, aye.
Mr. Prisby,
Frisbee, aye.
Mr. Kusher,
Kusher, aye.
Haynes,
Haynes, aye.
and Spinney, aye. So you are a dual role officially. Dan, I'll get with you sometime this week, maybe this weekend by phone call, and just get caught up on where you're at with all the other pieces. I know Eric and Dan got to get over to FinCom, so I don't believe we have anything more on the docket for this evening.
We don't.
Adjourn.
One thing I'll make a note about: there's a CPA meeting tomorrow night. And we are on the agenda, and I don't know that they knew we were reorganizing tonight. So,
Okay. So why don't we talk tomorrow, Dan?
Yep.
And we'll see if we can figure something out. And Chris, maybe we set up a Zoom meeting sometime in the middle of the day.
Or if you want a phone call, I'm happy to do it that way too. But
Okay, I believe there's a motion on the floor to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
second.
All right, by roll call, Mr. Crossan,
Aye.
Mr. Swenson,
Swenson, aye.
Ms. Prisby,
Frisbee, aye.
Mr. Kusher,
Aye.
Ms. Haynes,
Aye.
Ms. Spinney, aye. We are now adjourned.